Dusty Slay is on, Dana. And Dusty, our SNL crowd might not be familiar with him, but very funny comic that I've seen and worked with and thought we'd expose him to just a bigger crowd. Super cool Southern gentleman.
Dusty Slay has a new special on Netflix called Working Man.
Yeah.
He's very sly and clever. He's low key. He doesn't even feel like he's performing at all.
Yeah.
It's like he just kind of shows up. Great writer, really funny, sweet guy. It was an interesting
interesting
interview.
chat. Little Mitch Hedberg in there. There's a lot of, like, he's got his influences and he's got long hair, wears a trucker hat a lot. You know, any of these Southern comics or whatever they're described as, Theo, there's a lot of them. There's a lot coming in that are great, a whole new wave, and he cracks me up. He's got some good, clever stuff, and he's funny to chat with.
Yeah, the thing I came away with, Jesus is a really nice, earnest guy.
Yeah.
That really doesn't feel show busy at all. Humble and funny.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it.
The opposite of me. I'm super show busy.
Cocky and only
Cocky
marginally
and gross.
funny.
You know him, David Spade. All right, here's Dusty. No, I do think you have a crazy crew. You've got Brian Breakfast Bates. Where does that nickname come from? Do you call him Breakfast?
Well, I think Breakfast is one of my favorites of his nicknames, but people call him every B word that they can think of becomes his nickname.
Oh, okay, bastard, bitch.
Well, you know, it's a clean podcast, so they keep it clean.
Yeah.
Knucklehead
that's right.
spelled with a B.
Yeah, I mean, if they could get away with bastard or bitch on there, it would be there.
I love it.
Dusty Slay, Dana, for our listeners, is a very funny comedian. He is from Charleston, South Carolina. I saw him do a really funny set on Jimmy Fallon.
Crushed on Fallon. Crushed on Netflix.
Really crushed.
He has
Ted
his
Sarandos'
home number.
Oh, yeah. Ted Sarandos is your buddy, right?
Who is my buddy?
The president of Netflix. We're just kidding.
Oh, yeah. We're best friends. I mean, I'll be his friend. I mean, he's been hooking me up, but not to offend my own hometown. I lived in Charleston, South Carolina for 10 years, but I'm from a town called Opelika, Alabama. Just in case, you know, they're tuning in, I want them to know I've not forgotten about them.
Do they have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you know, in some parts. You know, my dad actually lives outside of Opelika, and he was getting internet on an antenna for a long time.
Whoa, we had an antenna on top of the house that you'd have to go up, and they would turn it. My brother would turn it, and then you'd yell, "Okay, it looks good. We're going."
What city? Missoula.
Missoula, and then the Bay Area Peninsula, San Carlos, near San Francisco.
Dana was early in Missoula, Montana, and then San Fran area.
I was. Yeah, my wife was just up in Montana visiting relatives, so we've got some kind of countrified vibe.
I love Montana. I'm a big fan of Montana.
Yeah, Western Montana in the summer, it's kind of like, okay, why would anyone ever be anywhere else?
Yeah, I did. I did a few cities. I don't know what side of Montana it was, but it was so great. But yeah, it's the winter that gets you.
The 70 below, it gets your attention.
Sounds good at first, and then
it's almost as big as California, and it's got like 700,000 people. I mean, it's that because of the winter. They can't get people in there.
The winter's brutal. Yeah.
Where is your accent right now within the Southern continuum? Is it a little combo of Alabama and North Carolina? Or?
I don't know what's happening. My wife is Canadian.
So is my wife.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, there you go. I grew up in Alabama.
Canada churns them out.
Alabama, mostly, right?
And my brother-in-law was from Michigan. He started dating my sister. My sister's 11 years older than me. So he came into my life very young. My accent started to get mixed up. Then I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, where all my friends were like from Ohio. And then I moved back to Nashville and I got a little Southern again. But it's a real mixed up accent.
When did you add the nasal?
I think that's always been there. I think I got kneed in the throat one time when I was on the wrestling team. And I was talking raspy after that, and I kind of think it stuck.
It's kind of good. It's very unique. It's at least, you need things to stand out.
I
Yeah.
always wondered, like, when I was in high school and I ran track and cross country. And then you go in the gym and you see the dudes wrestling. It never had any appeal for me. I would have been in the 90-pound weight class. I don't know if is there something lighter than flyweight as a freshman anyway?
Well, I think the light weight class is where you want to be. If you're real ripped.
Right.
My problem was I was in a fairly light weight class, but the guy that I had to wrestle against was just shredded. Like there was no reason we were supposed to weigh the same.
I didn't join because were you allowed to wrestle if you weren't gay? This is a real question. No, I'm kidding. Dana, I was in weightlifting, and we'll delete that. When I was in weightlifting, why was I in weightlifting? We don't know. I weighed 114, but it was an elective. And when I was a sophomore, I could bench 185, Dana, when I was 114.
No, you didn't.
Yep.
Let's keep it truthy here.
I think
he's got the clean podcast. We have the sometimes fibbing.
No, but I'm going to weigh in with Dusty. Do you think a 114-pound high school could honestly bench 180 pounds?
I mean, I think that'd be tough. I don't really know the translation. I don't know how it works out. That seems like a lot.
You're like, it sounds like more than your body weight. Well,
Uber driver in Arizona, I think, who said he took weightlifting with you.
For real?
Oh,
yeah.
That's very true. That's very true. And it checks out because I wasn't any good. I didn't really lift the weights per se. I think that was just like a suggestion. But we were in a weightlifting room the whole day. And I'm like, do we actually get around to it, or do I just lay down and take a supervised nap?
Let me do adolescent rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most push-ups you've ever done in your life? Honest push-ups.
Well, I mean, I went through a little workout phase. I mean, I would say I maybe did 40. At one point, I was really lifting it. I was getting wild. I got beat up one time as a drinker, and then I really hit the weights after that.
It's funny, but you're still drunk, which makes it harder to fight. That's you know what I mean? That's the bummer.
But you don't feel the punches.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did get punched a lot, and I took it pretty well because I was pretty drunk.
Yeah. My brother came home. I had 3 older brothers. He had 10 Heinekens. He was like 18. He'd never drank in his life. And he had pink popcorn at the fair and threw all up over my dad's car. So then he came in and he was so drunk. My dad was he was sitting on the bed and he was doing left, right. I thought I was witnessing something real horrible, but my dad broke his hand on his head the first punch.
Wait, they were fighting right when he came in?
No, Mark was just drunk. So he was just sitting on the bed in a stupor with a smile on his face. My dad was just unloading on him. Who weighed about 180, but he broke his hand, and then we had to tell everybody for weeks that he bumped it on the coffee table.
Wow, that seems like a very tragic story that you just told.
Yeah, that got very tragic, very light, tragic story.
The Carveys, we were just like the sons of Katie Elder. We were, hard driving, just, it
fighting Carveys.
It was the 60s. How was your childhood? Was it violent like that? Or was it?
No, I mean, I grew up in a trailer park, and it was like, there was every reason that it should have been violent, but it was pretty chill. I mean, people were drinking around me, but they were having a good time.
You're our first trailer park guest. That's fascinating.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I guess that you've excluded trailer park people up until this point. So I'm happy to break the barrier.
Well, the cliche of trailer park is the word trailer park trash. I didn't invent it. It's become kind of a meme. So what was your experience? Like nice neighbors, kind of fun. You didn't feel you were poor. It was just cool. I mean, I assume.
Yeah.
All of the above? Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
all right. I answered the question.
Yeah. I mean, that is it. I mean, I thought you were reading my bio.
That's what I assume, that cliches are often not true.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely the cliched people in my trailer park. But yeah, I mean, we had our trailer was a little messy. My mom dated some married men. I have sisters not related to each other, but we were all having a good time,
Well, wait a minute. So that became which I love your, I don't know, reoccurring phrase. I don't want to call it a catchphrase. We're having a good
mantra.
Time.
Yeah.
So people,
I like a mantra.
Just a quick plug in the middle of the interview. We're having a good time. Dusty Slade, Netflix, sitting there. Really great stand-up special. Written
Thank you.
tight, funny. And you come off, I think you're maybe the most like casual guy coming out there. I mean, there's no pretense. I mean, it's like you're just hanging out. It's I come out like a dancing monkey trying to get a laugh, and you come out so chill. It's very relaxing to watch. And then it gets just funnier and funnier.
Well, yeah, I started doing comedy. I started doing improv first, and I was never very good at playing a character. And everybody would come out. I was doing improv with very good improvisers, but they would all come out and they would be doing a thing and they would be real silly. And I always had a hard time doing that. I don't know. I feel like that it's like, I don't know. I don't want to take myself so serious that I'm just coming out I just want to tell you these things and I hope you laugh at them, sort of thing.
Yeah. Improv is terrifying. I like in his bio, Dana, it says, Slay moved to Charleston, South Carolina and joined the hot improv comedy scene of South Carolina. Is that a big comedy?
Is that in my bio?
Improv. Yeah. It's funny. I was in Charleston 2 days ago, dude. How about that? I've never been there.
It's also in your bio that you hate wearing hats.
Oh, okay.
It's in your bio.
People just write bios. I don't know how they end up.
It's all made up.
Yeah.
I should be a bio writer. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm always looking for a bio writer, but because a bio gets written and then it just is out there. And then
bio is the funniest word.
And then I go and I do a corporate event and people are reading the bio and I'm like, oh, don't read that. Just bring me out.
They introduce you. This next guy grew up in a trailer park in Opelika, Alabama.
Right. I'm like,
after high school, he enlisted in the army, but did not attend boot camp due to legal issues. What the fuck is that?
Is that in my bio? I mean,
that's your introduction.
Yes.
Well, I joined the army, and in between joining and getting shipped off, I got arrested for weed and alcohol, so I couldn't go because my court date came after my ship off date.
Oh, I thought it was spinal bifida.
No, that's the legal issue. I don't know why they listed it as a legal issue, like I didn't pay my taxes. We got a
real Trump on our hands.
Alcohol is legal, but weed was illegal, I assume, at that point.
Yeah. I mean, well, I got arrested for underage consumption. I was 19 and I had an open bottle in my car, and the policeman, he put me in the car, and then he comes back and he said, you're under arrest for the underage consumption of alcohol. And then he goes back to my car, finds the weed. And as he's putting my buddy in the car, he goes, oh, by the way, you're also under arrest for possession of marijuana. And I'm basically like, I'm trying to join the army and clean up my life, right? Yeah. So you're going to arrest me, and now I'm going to live in a trailer for the next 2 years doing worse drugs.
Who was your lawyer, Kid Rock?
I don't know if this is my brother drove through the South with a friend. And he had a guy pull him over, and he has a pretty good ear. And it was like, I'd like you boys to step outside of the car right now. And it was kind of scary because movies that are, again, sort of stereotypical of the Southern sheriff is a little, you don't want to hear that in that accent.
Yeah. Well, I was living in Alabama and I didn't want to hear it in that accent. I didn't want to hear it in any accent, though, to be honest with you.
And that really must have bummed you out because you honestly were trying to clean up your life and go in the army, right?
Yeah, I had gone, I was working at Western Sizzlin' and I was getting high all the time. And this guy was telling me about how
Western Sizzlin'?
Yeah.
What is that?
Is that a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a steakhouse. It just closed. The one in Opelika just closed this past Saturday. It's a very sad day.
Did they say, does the Slay work there with a plaque or anything?
They did not. I made a joke about him on my Netflix special and about people sweating into the green beans. And I don't think
that wasn't the promo they were looking for. They close a week later.
Now, were you a waiter or a busboy or dishwasher? Or
I was a waiter. I was the only waiter. It was all 50-year-old women, and I was an 18-year-old boy working there.
Mm-hmm.
I am Dusty. I'd like to check out our specials. We have catfish and carp.
Yeah, and then I would get a quarter for a tip, and so when the guy was like, joining the army was great, I got to see a lot of the world. I was like, oh yeah, I'm into that. So I went to the recruiter's office right after work and joined.
Meanwhile, you're a dishwasher in the Army.
You got the idea, and right after work, you took off your apron like Norma Ray. And went to a recruiter's place.
Yeah. And they were like happy to see me walk in. They were like, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then, and then they helped me, they talked to me about getting off weed and, this and that. And I start running. I start learning the military alphabet. I mean, I am all in.
A, B, C. What's the military alphabet again?
Like alpha, beta, or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Call signs.
Charlie, something like that.
That's right. Charlie 1.
Yeah.
Good to kill.
I didn't learn it. I started.
Yeah. Alpha, rabbit, hamster.
Did you actually sign up, or you're just sort of getting ready to be going to boot camp?
Yeah. Well, I signed up, and we went and did the physical and everything where they go and examine your body.
Doctor shrugs his shoulders and goes, "He'll do."
Yeah, exactly. They make you do weird things, and they touch you and they look at your butthole and stuff like that. And then
okay, what's the bad part?
Well,
sorry,
are we back to the policeman, or was that still at the doctor?
Well, none of it was bad except for they tell you, they're like, you can't tell them you ever smoked weed or did any other drugs, or you won't be able to get in. And so it's like the government teaching you to lie to the government to work for the government, sort of thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know why we're doing this. Let's just be honest about it, But my recruiter, when I get home, he goes, all right, I know I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I know you like to
agent.
Yeah, yes, exactly. He's like, I know you like to smoke weed, and they're going to drug test you when you get shipped off in 30 days. So if you want to do it tonight. And then that night I got arrested for weed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It worked out. I would have been shipped off in August of 2001. So I would have been in boot camp when September 11th happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just a more particular time.
Dusty,
in the military.
You're going to Afghanistan tomorrow.
I know. So it really worked out. I mean, I was hoping to go to like, I don't know, Amsterdam and Thailand and places like that. And instead I was like, yeah, I'd be fighting.
You really would have been fighting. I know people.
Did you really? Did you think there's some scenario where you'd be fighting, or was that the whole idea?
No, it's like, that it seems weird to even think about, but during that time, there was like a real moment of peace, at least what we were being told.
You could have maybe scammed through
pre 9/11, 1990s, pre 9/11.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to get some free college here, see a little bit of the world, and I'm going to get right out of here. It's just going to be a good time for me.
Yeah.
You're like, they go, oh my God, Dusty, the Twin Towers blew up, and then planes hit them right after. Conspiracy.
Yeah, but sign right here. Turn the TV off. Just turn the TV off. The towers are going down.
Sign. Go.
Mr. Slay.
Yeah, and instead I was like sleeping on a couch in my room, and my sister called me and she goes, hey, planes just hit the Twin Towers. And I was like, what's that? And, I had no idea. I had no idea anything.
She's like, you didn't know what she meant because she goes, Dusty, 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And you go, what does that mean?
I go, is that what time it is? Yeah. I mean, I'm like,
she's like, well, this will be called 9/11, but today's 9/11.
Yeah, she was in on it.
Now let's get back to the fact that you're friends with Kid Rock because you're from wherever, Nashville.
I have met Kid Rock a couple of times.
You have to.
So you're very close friends, right?
Yeah, best friends. He loans me
Kid
money.
Rock is funny because he's sort of the mayor of Nashville. He runs around, and when I play Zanies, I don't know many people. I actually invited Carrie Underwood once. She was nice enough to come down. She, I don't really know her that well. She's super sweet. Came down to goddamn Zanies. They were flipping out over her, of course. Kid Rock, that goddamn goat roper, came down, and then we went to his place. But he's one of those guys that he has such a horrible rap right now. But I always liked the guy. He did me a huge favor. He came blindly into the Joe Dirt to do it. And
that's the best movie role he's ever had. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it when I was in Charleston. I'm not even lying. I haven't seen it in 10 years. It was on, and so I was just watching it, going, "Oh, I don't remember this," And of Christopher Walken was sounding so Christopher Walken, Dana. It was so funny how crazy he did his lines. Loved him. But I saw Kid Rock and I was like, God, he is good in this. And people are like, you should never talk to him again. And I go, well, you can't start with someone like have a good beginning of a friendship and then the way he thinks now and talks. I just think we're always
What is the problem with
but you know what it is.
people
They go,
having
"Don't get a
different
picture with
opinions?
him."
I
I'm
don't.
like,
I'm not
know.
aware of it. I'm just like maybe he has a different point of view on America.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah.
Robbie is a great character. He goes, "Did I get you dirt?" He goes, "Nah, I'm cool." He goes, "No, you're not." I mean, that's like the best line ever. I mean, it's like
he sprays me with rocks, I think twice or three times with his Trans Am. It's so, that Trans Am had 87 miles on it. For some reason, they got us the best, newest Trans Am. And movie cars are a big deal. They just sold the main Joe Dirt car a month ago in an auction, and I should have bought it, but it's too much, $300,000 or something. But
but it's these movies, these comedies from the 90s, they just get shinier and brighter as time goes on. Because then you look at Joe Dirt on TV and you go, this is just really funny and so silly, and I'm very happy watching it.
Right. He pulled up in this thing to yell at me and Christopher Walken at the end of the movie, and he climbs up out of the sunroof to yell at us. And the stupid story, Dana, that we have this car that's like immaculate for some reason. Instead of just an old Trans Am we rode in, they brought us a great one. I'm like, we don't need a great one. And then, of course, he ripped the fucking seat fabric with his shoe while he's climbing up. And then they had a conniption fit. No, Kid Rock.
Oh, Kid
and
Rock.
So they're like, oh, you damaged this perfect car. I'm like, oh my God, that was a big story that day. Of course, now who cares? But then, because I tried to buy that car too. We tried to get Hi, My Name Is from Eminem for the trailer. And Kid Rock was his buddy. And we couldn't get it for the price. But Eminem did come to the premiere, which I love because I love Eminem. But overall, we're back to Kid Rock. Kid Rock did a great job. He's fun. Every time I go to Nashville, I see him. I see him sometimes in LA. But yeah, there is that thing where people go, don't get a picture with him. I go, just relax. I'll get a picture with whoever.
I did the Kid Rock Comedy Jam at the Ryman. It was great. Last year I did it, not this year. I didn't get invited back, but I had a hot set. But no, it was good. It was great. And I saw him at Zany's. And I mean.
He likes to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, if I were still drinking, I mean, it'd be a blast. I mean, I would have never made it to where I'm at in comedy if I had kept drinking. But if I were still drinking, I mean, I'd be all about a Kid Rock party.
Could I ask you, because I'm always curious about, well, at your peak, how much were you consuming it, and of what type of alcohol?
Well, the thing for me, for some reason, this was always in my mind, and I don't know why, but I always wanted to take a sober day. Each week, I was like, I got to have one sober day. And I think that
I'm not really a drunk.
Yeah, I think so. And I think in the end that helped me, right? Because I got buddies that would stop and they go through all these weird alcohol withdrawals and have hallucinations. It didn't really happen to me. I was mainly drinking like Bud Light, or I liked a Coors Heavy. That was my favorites. But I also would get into
Coors
bourbon, like the banquet beer. That's what I always called it, was the Coors Heavy.
Right. Yeah, I like pretty light.
Yeah. Bourbon. There was a bar in Charleston. It was on James Island called the Oasis. And it was this real trashy bar where you could smoke cigarettes inside. And they would do buy one, get two free bourbons. So we would go there and just get a triple bourbon with a little taste of Coke in there. And that's what we would drink. And smoke Black and Milds and stuff, and just really just destroy ourselves. And but it was a good time. It was in my 20s, and then I quit at 29. So, I'm able to look back and joke about it. You look
good. What are you, 55?
Yeah, 62. And
you look great. What are you, 70?
62 today, according to your bio.
So you look back. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You look back. I'm glad you did it.
You look back, and now the thing is that drinking, when human beings eat a quart of ice cream or drink every human consumption thing is kind of funny. I mean, there's a point, if there's a DUI or a tragedy, it's a tragedy, but it's funny just a human being drinking so much alcohol, they're throwing up. Did you get hangovers much, or were you just someone who didn't get hangovers?
Oh, I got all of the things. I would get hangovers. I would black out sometimes.
Yeah.
I would throw up something because people say you either throw up or you black out, and I would do a little of both. I mean, I was
mix it up.
Yeah, I've been known to have brunch, go have some, champagne and orange juice, and then as we switch from brunch to kind of happy hour time, you move on to a bourbon, and then they don't really mix, and then you go throw up, and you come back, and you go, all right, I'm good now.
I don't like that comeback guy. Once you throw up, just tap out. But nope, it ain't over.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do it a lot. Usually, throw up would I would be out. But sometimes
Put
you
a
go,
damper on the afternoon.
Yeah, you just you clean up and you come back in.
I always tell people if they ask me, like, there's nothing more dangerous than an insecure man after midnight with alcohol in his system. So, did you ever have to fight?
Well, I would say I was that guy. I was that insecure.
So you were throwing punches.
Yeah, I mean, I would get into fights, but mainly it was all verbal stuff. I've always been very good at talking trash, like at least as a drinker. But I'm like
nothing to back it up.
Do you remember one of your lines?
Well, I say good, but I mean, I was just good at like getting to the, really getting to someone in a way to where they're like. They didn't want to do anything. They were like, I don't know if this guy can fight or not, but I would rather
tapped
not.
out.
Yeah, you never know. That's the thing is, you gamble that they don't want to fight. You just want to sound cool in front of the ladies at 2 a.m.
Right. But, I only got beat up one time. So I feel like for all the times I trash talked, that was pretty good. I mean, I always had a lot of buddies that were pretty good fighters, or at least seemed like it. And they liked me. They liked to get wild. Yeah. And so they kind of wanted a reason to fight. And I was like that guy. It never really came to that.
I last had a fist fight in 7th grade. Okay. And that was like a, big thing, scary. But I wonder, as an adult, when you're in a bar fight, the moment where you realize in your own mind, I'm getting beaten up right now. Like, is it sudden?
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm losing.
Sucks.
Yeah.
That must be a terrible feeling.
Yeah, that moment was my face was on the sidewalk and a guy was punching me in the face. And I was like, okay, I'm about done with this, And
that's that when I'm getting beat up like that, I go, hey, what are we even doing here? What are we doing? like once you start losing, you change your tune a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, this is immature, guys.
This is so dumb.
And I got up and I had a good attitude about it. I said, I had this coming. And sure, we tried to find the guy, but I had this coming.
I don't think I'd be a big shake hands guy after. I see people do that. I don't know if I love that.
No, I don't like that either. I'm not that good of a sportsman.
No,
just walk away.
Yeah.
So you're 29. You quit drinking. I don't know what. Tell us. I just want to hear how you became Dusty Slay, the headlining comic. Fighting through that battlefield emotionally.
Well, at 29,
pesticide salesman.
Yeah. Well, I was selling pesticides all this time, and I think that was part of it, right? As I was
so
like,
excellent.
I hated my job during the day.
What? You go door to door? You go door to door and go, ants be gone?
I would go to Lowe's and Home Depot. I was a sales rep.
Oh, gotcha.
So I would go to the manager and be like, hey, good Spectracide display would really look good here by the front door. And then he'd go, nah, we're not going to do that. And then so when he left, I would tear down the display that was there, and then I would build mine there.
What a dick!
And build that. Oh, you just when he was gone, you just displace it and put your
all
own
the time.
One.
Yeah,
your company must have loved you.
You don't sound proud of that.
That's what they want you to do. That's what they wanted you to do. And it was all about the picture. You just had to get the picture of the display. It didn't matter what happened after.
And then send it back into them, and then they'd be like, "Wow, that's awesome."
And then they put you in the bulletin, and then they go, "Oh, Dusty Slay's getting some big wins down in Charleston."
Some big W's down at the Piggly Wiggly.
So you got money for the first time in your life, maybe.
Yeah. So I was, so then, and I was also waiting tables downtown, Charleston. So I was like, I was in with the real drinking crew. But I'd started doing improv and stand up, and then at 2011, I won the local comedy competition. So I won $1,000,
Ooh.
and I was like, all right, that's what
How
I'm
many
talking
years
about.
of doing it before you won that?
I would say
That's a lot.
three good years into
3
it.
good years of actually working on it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, though.
Yeah. And then I quit drinking. And then so by the time the 2012 competition came around, I won it again, but I won by like miles. I mean, I was like, I really tightened up. A year of sobriety really tightened up my comedy.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I'm
If anyone
sure.
listening, that's a really good life lesson right there.
Yeah, it really tightened it up. So then the next 2 years, I really worked on comedy in Charleston, and then decided to move to Nashville because I wanted to basically be a road comic.
You know, Nashville's one of the few cities you can do that, Dana, where you can, there's San Fran had a pretty big scene. I don't know if it's still as big, but LA, New York, right? Maybe
Yeah.
Austin now, and Nashville, I think. But does Nashville have enough clubs?
Well, Nashville, we only have one club really, but we have 2 rooms now. But it wasn't, and I had an inn at Zany's, which was the only club I had an inn at. But
Great
but it's
club.
also about the cities that are around it. There's all these cities, Birmingham at 3 hours, Lexington, Kentucky, 3 hours,
Oh,
Louisville.
Okay.
So you can drive within 8 hours. There's so many cities with clubs. So I
Okay.
started getting in as a feature, really working the road.
And so you started as a feature, and obviously you're going to headline. How long did that take? And did you have people trying to fuck with you? I mean, the club scene can be pretty brutal, especially when someone's climbing up. There's a lot of, if you hang out with the comics,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of
Gotta
a
hang.
psychological warfare.
It was
That green
always
room.
okay for me because I've always
Mhm.
just been nice to people. I mean, I
Good.
made enemies along the way. I mean, people start disliking me for no reason. I don't know why.
Because you're good, probably.
Maybe. And I'm clean too. And when I would book shows, I would want other comics to be clean, and then they would try to act like I'm trying to censor everyone. And I'm like, I don't even need you to be that clean. I just don't need you to say the worst possible things that come to your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
You're always ready for corporate gigs, though, which is nice when you're clean because you don't have to do anything.
Well, that's what I'm all about, is trying to create the kind of set that no matter where I'm at, I can just do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to go, oh, what is this I'm doing? Let me try. If it's too clean, then I'll have to take out weed jokes and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm like, yeah, I just do my jokes.
I think Seinfeld was like that. I think is like that. I think Leno, Dano, also Nate is more
Pretty
presently
much. Yeah.
doing great, which is clean, which is just known for being clean, which is not what it used to be. But there's a lot of people that have gotten more R-rated. And
Jeff Foxworthy is clean,
Foxworthy,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that, the Southern comedians, Ron White and Jeff and Larry the Cable Guy, Dan, those
Yeah.
guys, those Southern comics were huge. And I'd be playing Minneapolis or something, and who's coming in? And it was Jeff or somebody on a
Or the
Gulf
blue
Stream.
collar, Bill Engvall.
Yeah, they monetize stand up in a brilliant way with marketing and books, and there's something that heritage, and now we have Bert and you and others. It's kind of interesting. Do you think about that? I mean, that those Southern comics, and they toured together, and they all got incredibly wealthy, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've worked with most of them, and and talked to them about it, but I don't know that that sort of thing really would work now. But especially that branding. That's why I don't try to do the blue collar branding, but I called my special working man. Because my
Yeah.
whole idea is to, just I don't know. I worked,
Man of the people, kind of.
Yeah, I worked for 15, 20 years, just doing regular jobs before I became a comic. So I'm like, I can relate to people on being broke and working a job that you hate. So that's what I'm into. And it's like,
well, you're succeeding immeasurably, because watching your special, which early when we got on the Zoom, Working Man was right above We're Having a Good Time, but that's not the name of the special.
Oh, yeah.
It's Working Man. Yeah,
I'm okay with them thinking it's We're Having a Good Time, though. If they search it, that's fine.
And also your name's ezy to search.
Yes.
Dusty Slay. Is that your real name? Because it's a pretty cool name.
It is my real name. I have a little debate with myself, right? My parents, they named me Dustin, right? And then they wrote down Dustin on the birth certificate, but never called me that. No one's ever called me that. So if my parents call me Dusty, I mean, does it make any difference that they wrote down Dustin? That's what I
Who
always
cares?
say.
It's still a subsidiary of Dustin. You're
It
fine.
happens all the time. You get a name and then someone's named Thomas and then they're Tommy or whatever.
Right.
You know, it's very common.
But why even call him Thomas? You know, I guess, I don't know. I guess it's some professionalism that you may want at some point in your life. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know someone who named their baby Ollie. No, Oliver. And I thought the kid's going to just be Ollie. Just know that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everyone's going to call it, hey, Ollie. And that's just different. You know.
Yeah.
And you know what? The only thing that caught on
Dustin
is
writes
David.
books.
And David, the only thing that caught on was dipshit. And I thought it would be Dave or Davey, but it kind of went south on me.
It's
you
got
gotta
a ring.
hate when they go that far away, that far removed.
Yeah, I
You're
go,
like,
that's,
well, let's keep
you
it
have
in
one
the
letter
David
you
realm.
started with. You just took the D. It's very lazy nicknaming.
It is a lazy nickname. That's a shame.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. It was low hanging fruit. I mean, that's obvious, David.
Yeah.
You know, it's such an easy transition.
And then when I played tennis, this joke's not over. When I played tennis, I said, I want to be known as the Spade of Ace because, you know, it just writes itself. And then in the paper, they said, Pin Dick wins again. I'm like, oh, why? Now you're throwing everything out the window.
You can't make yourself a cool nickname. You never can.
I know, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Spade was good enough. Just leave it.
Spade of Ace. I mean, that's a
Spade of
cool
Ace. I
name.
like that.
Yeah.
But Dusty Slay, I mean, it is kind of it's definitely could be an outlaw in a Western or something. And it has a
it worked out.
kind of a badass vibe to it.
Yeah, it worked out for me. If I want to switch from comedy and just, you know, be a serial killer or any kind of thing, the name works.
Anything. That's kind of catchy, like the BTK killer is catchy. You know, Dusty Slay, BTK.
Yeah.
Dusty Slay.
You're compared to him a lot, I think.
Yeah. I don't know who BTK is, but
he's a killer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Serial killer.
I
think what does it stand for, Dana?
Jokes, but I don't know a lot of them.
Son of Sam. That's what's the most famous there. Ted Bundy, Son of Sam. These are famous serial killers for 10, Bob. David?
Oh, yeah.
My Siri just pulled up BTK killer because it heard me.
Oh, man.
I think it stands for
I don't
bound, torture, kill.
Okay.
Yeah, serial
big
killer.
Time
and
killer.
He seems like you. I mean, his positive things about him seem like you. He travels a lot. Maybe
yeah, I mean, you know, all things about serial killers are not bad. It's the killing part that is really the best part.
The very last part. They're fun on dates. They're positive.
They're so quiet. They tend to themselves. They have
Ted
a really
Bundy
nice
was apparently very good looking, charismatic. You know, it's like those are good qualities. It's like just don't kill people.
That's the whole key to life, really. And the name of your next special.
Yeah, and don't kill people. Yeah.
How do you manage it? I'm just curious for a sec how you because you got to invent a style. You have to do all these jokes. Like, did you start with a word processor? Are you someone who taped your act? We've talked to Jim Gaffigan and others, and the discipline of it, or even Nikki Glazer for the Tom Brady roast, 2 months of listening and workshopping. Where are you on that? Because Nate they seem similar. Your acts are so tight. How do you do that? Do you record and listen, or is that painful?
Well, for a long time, that's what I was doing. I recorded every set. Now I'm moving into theaters, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to get a video camera set up for myself every time. But I don't know. I have a pretty good memory, and I like to write a set list, and I like to try to stick to the set list. But like now that I am in theaters, I'm like, I get to go, I can riff a lot, right? So I'm like, as long as I stick to this, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do my hour that they've paid for. So if I riff for an extra 20 minutes, that's okay. And then that's how I write jokes.
That's scary. Yeah. I mean, you might come up with a winner. That's true. If you're doing well, I just played this weekend. If you're doing well, it's so much easier. I played a theater that had a sound problem and it was echoing.
Oh
And we're like,
no.
you can't fix this echo. And they're like, no, they don't hear it out there. And I'm like, I don't know. And then
But
you're
hear
doing
it.
your act. I'm sticking. The point is, I'm sticking directly to what works because I
Right.
can't fuck around. You know those nights where you're like, I cannot even gamble with this something over here. And then I just saw an article, Dana. They said the sound was a little off at that show. Unfortunately, I was like, oh my god! So it was out in the audience.
Yeah.
Fuck! It's such a disappointment.
Sometimes for me, if I'm doing a bad gig and my
Yeah.
good jokes are not going well, it's almost better for me to riff because I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, if the good jokes are bombing, then I got nothing else. I got the good jokes, and then I got these things that I've been loosely working on. And at least the ones I've been loosely working on, I don't know how they're supposed to go. So if I get mediocre laughs, I'm like, all right, that feels pretty good because this is a new bit. But if it's a joke I know that crushes. Yeah.
Do you do crowd work ever or no?
I don't. I will mess around with the audience some if I peek, because I get a lot of drunk people. I'm sure we all do. But if people are yelling out, I'll try to riff with them a little bit, mainly to try to get them to be quiet. But I don't want to be mean about it. So I try to. I did the Troubadour.
I do the same thing.
You did the
Go ahead.
Troubadour?
The Troubadour in LA. For the Netflix festival. And that late show was so rowdy. They were all wearing my hats. Half the audience bought my hats and were wearing them in the crowd, but were still yelling at me the whole time. It was so rowdy. I crowd worked so much on that show. I never do that. And I was actually getting mad at some people.
I'm the same way. It's scary. It's hard to crowd work. And if it goes
when
south on you,
they're just yelling. There's no back and forth. So I'm just noticing this. The last guest we had on this podcast, who was, quote, moving into theaters from nightclubs, which is a big deal, was Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're really starting to put him in theaters. So you must feel pretty good right now. I mean, it's very flattering, you know.
I do feel great. I mean, it's like I've already been more successful than I ever thought that I would be. So at this point, anything's just a bonus. I'm like, my manager was like, what do you want to do now? And I'm like, I don't know. I've already achieved all the goals I ever hoped to achieve. So I'm good now. Let's just ride this out.
Yeah, this might be it. Hey, so Dana, here's a couple.
28 minutes.
Here's a couple of his jokes that are funny from
let me hear these.
Okay.
Here we go. Dusty Slay joke.
I'm trying when he goes, I thought of this because I check out of hotels too. He goes, they said he says there's a 7-step process they say to make checking out of your hotel faster. He goes, what's faster than just leaving? He goes, when I check out of a hotel, I just leave. And he goes, I didn't even know you had to do anything. I know my friends that go, hey, we're leaving. So do we go by the front desk, give them our keys and have a little goodbye speech? I go, I think that's over. I think people just
walk
leave,
away.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to let them know. Actually, you tell them when you're going to be leaving when you check in. You know, it's like, just expect that I'll stick to that.
It's really for people who
I'll stick to that.
Isn't it for, I don't know if you're like this. So there are people who want to get the receipt, look at the room service charges, double check.
Right.
That's the only reason to go to the front.
Oh, true. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chocolate milk. And then he says daylight savings. No, first it starts with when you ask someone the time and they say it's 20 to 4 and you go, listen, if you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yeah.
Why do you say 20 to 4? You can't figure that one out.
Well, why am I asking questions and you're giving me other problems? It's like,
what do you mean? You say it's 3:40?
20 to 4 is funny. Yeah, that's like so specific.
He goes, if you don't know the answer, just say you don't know. And he's like, I'm like, no, it's 20 to 4. And he's like, all right,
it's 20 to 4, but I ask you what time it is, not the steps I need to get there.
Yeah, you say there's nowhere else in life you do that.
Yeah, like why are we breaking everything down into problems like that?
Yeah, in 1 minute it'll be 19 minutes until 4 o'clock. I mean, it should be just what's the proper?
In Australia they say, what time is it? You go, it's 30:30 or something, and they go, what does that mean? They go, it's 4:30. And I go, does that mean 4:30? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Just tell me the fucking time.
It's too much. It's easy to just, what time is it? It's 3:20. Oh, okay, great.
Got it. Okay. I don't want to stand
20
here for 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're like
Let's work
20
this out
past the
together.
hour. I'm like, okay, but what is the hour?
What is the hour? Oh, daylight savings. And that you don't even know why we do it, of course. And then you go, oh, if it's cold in the winter, oh, you cold? Well, maybe we should just get it darker a little earlier if you're cold.
Yeah, it's like the coldest time of the year. They're like, let's take the sun away from you. How about that?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I was laughing your whole Fallon set.
I
I
don't
called
even-
Fallon and I said, what do you think of Dusty's sleigh? And he said, who is he? I said he has long hair, and then he thought it was Jennifer Aniston. I was like, no, and then we got cut off. But overall, I think he would think you were very funny on there. He was laughing in the shadows.
Well, they showed the shot over you and onto him.
Yeah.
And he's just convulsing. I mean,
yeah, that's always helps. He's always a good
we have
audience.
a great time. Yeah,
He's a fucking.
we have a
crackpot.
great
you did
time
a great
on
job.
there.
How many times have you been on Jimmy Fallon's show?
4 times.
Mhm.
Oh, really? So you do have at least 24 minutes of material.
At least, yeah. I did Jimmy Kimmel
Okay.
one time too. So we can go ahead and add another 5.
So you're up to 5.
Do you have to go do panel?
No, never. They were like, there was some talk that I might do panel on this last time, but then they
Okay.
said one of the guests went too long, so that they're going to go ahead.
There was
and-
some
you're
loose
backstage.
chatter.
yeah,
Loose
Wow.
chatter.
yeah.
Who was the
maybe.
guest? Dana Carvey.
yeah.
I was out there going, not gonna do it. I couldn't. I was on a loop. I couldn't stop it. God, do it. God.
They're trying to unplug him.
I want to. Yeah. So your peers, your friends. I mean, that you come up with this stand up. How are they? How are they doing? Or do you have friends you want to help bring on the road with you that haven't made it yet? And just that thing. Hey, Dusty's kicking it, man.
Well, most of the people that I started doing comedy with in Charleston have quit doing comedy. Like some of them, I got a buddy that moved to New York, a couple that moved to LA, and they're still doing it. But, I have people that live here in Nashville that I do take on the road. But
makes it more fun.
Yeah, I love to take people with me. You never know who you're going to get paired up with, and you're like, and then you got nobody to hang with. And I don't even hang a lot. I just like to do a little comedy and then have a cigar. That's what I like to do. So I need someone that'll smoke about half a cigar so I can smoke mine and then I smoke the rest of theirs and then we go to bed. That's all I want.
Then do you go to the mall in the day when you're on the road or no?
Sometimes if I'm at a club attached to a mall, I might walk around in there, but the mall makes me sad. I just feel bad for people in there. I don't know what they're doing there. And I don't know what it is. I walk around in there and I go, this seems like everybody seems like they hate their lives in the mall.
Yeah.
And I don't know what
Well,
it
you
is.
ruined the mall for me.
I kind of sense a 10-minute chunk on malls being depressing, maybe, Dusty.
Yeah, well, I just feel like it's like, I was in the mall in the 90s, and then it feels like everybody in the mall has been there since the 90s. It just feels like they're trapped.
They never left. It
Like
cut
a
to me
video game.
still
Yeah.
there from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do go. It's sort of the number one time killer on the road on Family Feud. If you're a comic, it's like number one thing you do mindlessly on the road. Go to the mall.
Oh,
you don't buy anything. You just walk in circles and you go, well, we did that.
I think that's the sad thing about it. Yeah, is you're just walking around in there. You don't want to buy anything.
Getting
everything
steps.
you're like sarcastic. There's stores in there called It's Sugar. And I'm like, thanks for being honest about it. But I don't need any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll eat sometimes at the food court and I always regret it. I go, oh,
cramps.
Gosh, yeah, I feel
There's
disgusting.
one called It's Cramps.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do a lot of activity. I'll see people on tour with Nate and then or Bert Kreischer, and I see all of the things that they're doing, and I'm like, oh, that's exhausting.
Go-kart racing.
Yeah. I'm like,
they go
how do you
out
have
and do
time?
shit.
How do you have time?
It might
to
be
sit in
part of
your
the
hotel
show.
room?
I think Bert, after 2 comics, they go-kart race around the auditorium.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you have time to sit in your room and get sad? I mean, I don't know what you do before a show. That's what
sad.
I need. I need to save all my energy for the show and also be like, get into some mindset of why am I even doing this? Do I like this? And then go out, and then I get to really kind of explode onto the stage.
Yeah. Ray Romano would just go golf 18 holes in Vegas,
Run his show,
with his friends. And I just thought, it's a heat wave and they're out there and then just come in. And
I know in Vegas, Dana, he would do the show. We'd get done right before midnight because we both go on.
It's a late show.
Then we do a Q&A. Then he goes, "You going in?" I go, "Yeah, I've never been up this late since New Year's Eve." And then he goes, "Okay, we're going to go gamble." And I'm like, "And then you're going to get up and golf. And then you're going to come to this show." And I think he's older than me. I'm like, "This guy is in great shape. He's killing it." That's where I got sad.
I don't know. To me, it just comes down to like, it's like, you like doing that. You like going to gamble. You like going to golf.
I'm jealous.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem fun to me.
I like to golf, but I don't like to go out all night and feel like shit, but it's just not my thing anymore.
Yeah, it's like I don't like I like to be in nature, but I don't, golf to me, it's like kind of nature, but you're on like a real kind of like fertilized up AstroTurf kind of lawn, and all the animals like. And then you what are you doing? You're hitting the ball around, I'm just not.
I'm like, you still don't even know what golf is. You're like, and then what do? You just
the main thing is
stick,
that all golfers suck. I mean, basically every single amateur golfer is horrible and looks like a clown, me included. So, and it's painful to swing and miss at a golf ball. But when you do connect and you really hit it, I guess that keeps you coming back another day, or you sink one long putt. But
that's what people say.
Like Rich Nate, he's like, Dana, he gets all in it. We golfed a while back and he was pretty good. He's really good now. And I'm like, yeah, well, Nate, I don't know if everyone takes all their money you have, because you get to go take lessons at NASA or something. And then he's like, I am objectively way better than I was. That's what money does.
Yeah.
Nate is money.
I mean, for me, I'm like, I want to buy, I just bought a 4-wheeler, I bought a 0-turn lawnmower. That's where when I get some money, I'm like, I'm trying to buy some things to drive around.
Do you have a farm or a big piece of property kind of out in Nashville? Are you out in the country a little bit?
Right outside of Tennessee, I got about 10 acres. But I got some land in it. I got some land in Alabama. That's where my dad has a farm in Alabama. So we got a little land there. So, we can do, so I grew up kind of doing stuff like that, running 4-wheelers and, that sort of thing, swimming in the creek and the pond. And I'm more into the real country stuff.
Mm-hmm. You're not faking it.
Have you ever heard John Denver's song, "Thank God I'm a Country Boy"?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Do you come up to that? Is that
I
your
would not
walk-on?
come up to that. That's too cheesy to come up to.
Well,
it is a good song.
Jesse Slade.
I'm eating some jerky and yeah.
All right. Before we let you go, let me see. You were on Lights Out. You did a great job with us there.
Yeah, 2 times on Lights Out. I love that show. I had a great time.
I loved it too. I don't know why Dave quit.
Yeah. I don't know why it quit me.
It was a great show.
We had a blast on that
Theo
show.
was on that a lot. You were on that a lot.
Yeah.
Now you're all
you got a good luck with we're having a good time. We love Nate. We're just busting his balls, of course. Nate's on that with you, and you have one with your.
I do the We're Having a Good Time podcast with my wife, and then
that's what that is, right? I'm sorry,
Nate Land podcast with.
Yeah, that's why I was
Nate.
Confused. I apologize.
Yes.
Okay,
I listened to the one with you and your wife. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It's
we
charming.
just get on there. My wife used to do comedy. We did a live podcast taping at the Comedy Store when we were in LA recently. Very fun.
With an audience, it gives it a lot of supercharge to it.
Yeah.
That's fun with the crowd.
So it is fun. You have a lot of fans that want to dress like you. And do you sell hats? I guess you do merchandise, and they.
I have a hat. I have his hat.
Yeah, and it looks good. I mean, every time you wear it, I'm sharing it because I'm like, look how good this hat looks.
Oh I got to get another one. I'll get Dana one too.
Yeah, I'll get you both some hats. Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, do that. That
and you have a full head of hair.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah,
you have a full head of hair, and then because my brother always said, one of my brothers again. He always said, if I go bald, I'll be the guy with the hat. I'm just going to be the guy with the hat. Solve that whole problem.
Well, you should sell scrunchies.
Yeah, I like to
yeah,
rest the hat out, just kind of rest it on there. You don't really wear it. You just kind of rest it on
Yeah,
there.
that's the thing. It doesn't squeeze your head. It just kind of sits.
I don't, that's why
light.
my hats look stupid. I always like with these big, stupid trucker hats, but I do like them mostly because I don't like my hair, but you have good hair. You look like kind of Shooter Jennings meets Aniston.
Yeah.
Again.
I feel like I've gotten a lot of Jennifer Aniston comparisons, and I don't mind it. I mean, she obviously a very attractive person.
I'm sure it comes up all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
all right.
into
Thank you, Dusty. You're a good dude, and I'm glad you got to see Dana. And
well, I am too. I'm very honored to be here. You guys are great, and I appreciate you.
Well, we think you're great, and it's always fun to talk to someone who's so humble about it. Like, you've already reached your dreams. That's my touchstone. This is how I make a living, doing comedy.
Yeah.
And there's all the rest of it, but this is my job. Like,
this is so great that I get to do this podcast. I never thought I would be doing stuff like this. It's all really great. I've watched you both on TV for many years. It's a real blessing to be here. So I appreciate it. But yeah,
thank you.
I mean, this is my job, and this is fun to do. I mean, comedy's a blast.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I just love your attitude, and have fun out there, and theaters can fun, and all the hotels. And I guess you just, the end game is how many dates do you do, and how do you pace yourself?
Yeah.
The powers that be would love you to do 300. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a good team, and they seem to be okay, because I got 2 small kids, so they seem to be okay. They don't pressure me to be out too much. So
that's good. So you come and go and pick your spots.
Because I want to, I love to do comedy. I love to be out here doing it. But I also, I like my, I like my family. So
you like your kids?
Just find a balance.
I want to be around them. Yeah.
Yeah. You like your kids.
Yeah.
All right. See you, buddy.
Well, really nice meeting you.
You
Peace
too.
out.
Take care.
You too. Thank you.
God bless.
This has been a presentation of Audacy. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all the stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss Berman of Audacy, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.